This is Sunrise Extra, streaming live on Wave Now.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for joining us here on Sunrise Extra, and happy Friday. You did it. You made it to the weekend.
Yeah, that's right. Boy, let's get a check of the weekend right now, and it's just going to feel like a sauna, huh?
Basically, it's hot, it's humid, a few downpours, but not much heat relief. Let me get you outside, though, this morning to Spaghetti Junction. Nice sunrise underway. A mix of sun and clouds. We dropped to 78 degrees within the last hour. Now, here at 7 o'clock, we are back up to 79 here in Louisville. Most of you, though, are still in the low 70s. That heat island here in the city in full effect. 72 at Shelbyville. Good morning, Jeffersonville. You're at 73. 77 in Salem, 75 out in Paoli, Indiana this morning. It's definitely sticky as you step outside. Those dew points are hovering in the upper 60s to low 70s. And when you're talking about dew points in that range this time of year, that means triple-digit heat index numbers. That's why a heat advisory is in effect yet again today for all of our Wave Country counties except Adair. The heat index will be slightly cooler further to the south and east. For everybody else, though, we'll see that heat index peak near 105 this afternoon. Actual temperature near 95 with that heat index near 105. Take it easy outside, not just today, but also this weekend. We'll dive deeper into the weekend and some slightly higher storm chances as well. Coming up, your 10-day earliest alert in a few minutes.
Thanks, Carson. Breaking this morning, LMPD says 2 men are recovering after being shot overnight.
This happened around 1 a.m. on Prentice Street near California Park. Police say both men were grazed by a bullet. Both were taken to the hospital and are expected to survive. Police say no arrests have been made yet in this case. Louisville police also working to find out what led up to the city's latest homicide.
The shooting left a man dead in the Shelby Park neighborhood. LMPD went to South Jackson Street just before 9 last night. They found a man who had been shot several times, and despite efforts to save his life, he died at the scene. Police have not yet released his name. Police say violence like this is hard on the entire city.
You know, we have enjoyed a pretty peaceful time in this neighborhood, you know, in previous months, in the past months. You know, sadly, that has ended. Anytime you're at a scene like this, obviously, you know, it is devastating to all of those who are here. It is devastating to our city anytime somebody is killed. It's devastating to the families and the survivors and those who are left behind. It's devastating.
LMPD is looking for the shooter. Police say there were a lot of witnesses at the scene, so they're asking for the public's help to find that shooter. If you can offer any tips, you can go to 574-LMPD.
We told you first on Wave News Sunrise about the criticism LMPD Chief Paul Humphrey was getting after specific comments he used to describe a homicide victim.
And now after backlash, too, from Metro Council members and members of the victim's family, the chief made a public apology.
I apologize, particularly to Ms. White's family, for the lack of sensitivity and the lack of clarity in my words. I want to make clear, Mr. Shelby is the person responsible for the murder and death of LaTosha White.
LaTosha White disappeared in early May. Despite her family reporting her missing, LMPD did not issue an alert. White was found dead in a wooded part of the Buchel neighborhood a week later. Wednesday, Chief Humphrey said White's behavior placed her in the position that ultimately ended in her death. Chief Humphrey says that behavior was a planned murder plot by White and Jamie Shelby, who she was dating. Police say Shelby shot and killed White with her own gun before going through with the murder plot. At a community event last night, Chief Humphrey had this response when he was pressed about the original comment.
It was done the way I said it. It was the truth. And we sit up here and we talk all this truth about the lifestyles that people are involved in, but then when somebody in a uniform says it, it gave a distrust. I said it in a very stupid way. I get it. Didn't make it any less true. So if you want to trust me, trust that I'm telling you the truth. Because I've never lied to you. I've never lied to this community. I've never misled. I started to say something that I felt like I shouldn't say because I was going down the wrong path, and I felt in the middle of saying it, and it's going to sound like I'm blaming her. So I shut up. Never should have said it in the first place.
Chief Humphrey says he reached out to White's family but has not heard back. They did not say who the target of that murder plot was, but say that person was not hurt.
Police in Bardstown still working to find out what caused the crash that killed a man and damaged part of the county courthouse. Bardstown officials say a car hit the courthouse just past midnight Thursday. The impact killed the driver and left damage to the building. It was already undergoing renovations. Emergency Management Director Brad Metcalf says the driver traveled 500 yards in less than 10 seconds. Officials say what happened is terrible, but they're grateful it wasn't worse.
Well, there's a life that was lost, and that's the sad part. Very lucky that nobody was traveling around here that night and or walking, because that would have been a disaster.
The driver's name hasn't been released yet. Bardstown police asking anyone with information about the crash to call them or contact their tip line.
We're working to get more details about what detectives in Oldham County say was a murder-suicide between a father and son. Police say a child called 911 from a home on Clear Cove Road in Buckner. Officials say she told them her father and brother were fighting just after midnight. When police arrived, they found 47-year-old Nadim Pasha and 17-year-old Elijah Pasha dead. They had both been shot. Police did not release more details about the incident. They are still investigating.
Breonna Taylor's aunt, Bianca Austin, is pleading not guilty to charges she picked up while protesting the sentencing of former LMPD detective Brett Hankison. Austin and 3 other protesters were arrested and charged Monday with disorderly conduct and obstructing a highway. They were handcuffed after blocking traffic at 6th and Broadway outside of the federal courthouse. The protest took place during the sentencing hearing for Brett Hankison, who was convicted of violating Breonna Taylor's civil rights. Austin was reportedly not let into the courtroom for the hearing because she was told it was full. Austin is due back in court on her charges at the end of September. Right now, LMPD is searching for 2 suspects involved in a robbery outside of the Springhurst Home Goods on Town Center Drive. This happened just before 1:30 on Tuesday afternoon. Investigators say a man pulled a gun on a woman in the parking lot and demanded she hand over her purse. Then the man got into an SUV driven by a second suspect, who police believe is a woman, before they drove away. If you know anything about the crime, you should contact LMPD. One man is dead and a woman is recovering after both were shot in Valley Station. They were heard around 1:30 yesterday on Dixie Highway near Citation Road. Officers say they found the man at the scene and he died at the hospital. His name hasn't been released yet. The woman who was shot showed up at Southwest Hospital shortly after the shooting. LMPD is still searching for the shooter.
A man is in custody this morning after an hours-long standoff in a Shively neighborhood.
LMPD says it all stemmed over a bench warrant the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office was attempting to serve on a man. Wave News reporter Logan Perrone has details about his possible charges.
A Shively home is left in shambles after a standoff that took several hours. Around 1:30 Thursday afternoon, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office encountered a man with a rifle while executing an arrest warrant.
Out of an abundance of caution and smartly, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office pulled back, set up a perimeter, and contacted LMPD SWAT.
SWAT tried to convince the man to come out for hours before they entered the home. The man inside shot off several rounds at police, and LMPD says officers did not shoot back. SWAT then used flashbangs and tear gas to draw him out before he surrendered. LMPD tells us the Sheriff's Office warrant was for felony charges.
He was indicted on 3 counts of wanton endangerment, and so the sheriff's deputies are attempting to make service of that warrant and execute it here today.
Court records we found show a 48-year-old man at that address was indicted on the same charges on June 25th and had an active bench warrant. An arrest report from October of 2024 reveals the man kicked in a bedroom door and pointed a loaded pistol at 3 people in the home, including a 6-month-old. Police have not yet officially released the name of the man arrested Thursday. Multiple neighbors we talked to off camera who knew the man called him a good guy who had only become aggressive in recent months. LMPD's Public Integrity Unit is investigating the incident.
Wave News reached out to the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office to confirm the identity of the man the warrant was for, but we have yet to hear back.
Coming up, as summer is fully underway, it is super hot out there.
We have tips on how you can keep yourself and your car cool this year. That's coming up after this break.
Well, if you're wondering what to do this weekend, this is a great idea. Tonight and tomorrow, you can enjoy some great live music, food and drinks, and learn more about mental health.
The Big Stomp Music Festival was created to destigmatize mental health and provide community resources. White News reporter Marissa Burke joining us this morning with the details, and you have some special guests this morning, Marissa.
I do have some special guests. I am here with Samantha Bayless and Malachi, and what was our other friend's name? Uriah, because we're going to be doing some goat yoga. Because one thing about goat yoga is it really helps you stay grounded and in the moment. So Samantha, we've been doing some deep breathing exercises.
Yes.
So what are we going to do next?
So after we're grounded and centered and kind of follow the goats with some of the breathing or bleeding and breathing, we can then start to shift into some asanas or goat poses. And so with goat yoga, we tend to change the names a little bit to go with the theme. So what I like to do is kind of roll up onto our knees. And so this can be goat sunning.
You never know what's going to happen in goat yoga. But like you said, it's about being grounded in the moment, which is why you like to participate with the Big Stomp.
Yes, because with a Big Stomp, it is so important to view mental health as more as just part of health, because we're more than just our physical bodies. We're our minds, our bodies, and our spirits. And so by addressing each part individually, you can miss out on a lot. And with goats, they don't just focus on their physical body, they're more present and aware. So like Uriah is probably going to join us when we go into this one. He may lay back down, but it's one of those things where we can just be in the moment and breathing. He likes to have that grounded presence, so he itches. And so like with tabletop, it's a perfect example that we can actually move.
And
we don't have to
spine and
exactly.
There it goes. So guys, if you want to participate with Samantha and Malachi and Uriah, you can come out to the Big Stomp this weekend. Gates open at 5 and tickets are just $59. But also the best benefit is you really get to actually relax. Marissa Burke, Wave News.
Thank you so much.
And that goat seems very relaxed there, too. So cute.
I had no idea that there was so much to goats, that they lived in the moment.
Yeah, they're very similar to dogs, too. You can actually train goats to do tricks, too.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea you were such a goat expert.
I worked at the Louisville Zoo one summer, so I know a lot about goats, okay? Fun fact about me. But yeah, they were also under the trees there. I noticed the goats were able to get some shade, and they're going to want that this weekend.
Yeah, it's not just the humans that need the shade. It's going to be the animals as well. Get you outside this morning once again to the junction. Nice sunrise underway. Just a tiny bit hazy. Not too bad. No air quality concerns on this Friday. Let's talk about what you need to wear as we wrap up this work week. It's the same as it has been the last few days. Some loose clothing, light colors, a good idea. Sunglasses for sure. Get the sunscreen if you're going to be outside today, whether working or having fun. But just to be on the safe side, grab the umbrella. I don't think you need to carry it around all day, but there will be a few downpours to dodge this afternoon. It's only a 20% chance. Just keep the umbrella nearby in case one of those downpours that pops up is right where you are later on today. The weekend, more of the same. 94 Saturday. Not quite as bad of a heat index tomorrow, but still in the triple digits in all likelihood. Closer to 102, 103 tomorrow afternoon. For your Sunday, you notice the temperature stayed plenty hot, but the storm chances are a little bit higher. And the reason why, we've got a front to our north and west this morning. It'll stay to our north today and tomorrow, but by Sunday, it'll try to drift south into wave country, and that'll give us a slightly higher chance for a few showers and storms to close out the weekend. Let's go outside this morning. Another view of downtown Louisville. Bright blue skies, a few clouds out there, but it's warm and it's muggy. Now, you look at the icon from the airport and it says there's rain falling. That's not the case. That's just some fog that the weather location there at the airport is thinking as rain. It's just a little bit of fog at the airport at this hour. 79 is our current temperature, and it feels like 82 degrees. You can see all of the rain this morning well off to our north. A few flash flood warnings this morning out towards Kansas City. Now, this is the front that's going to be our troublemaker by Sunday. But until then, it stays to the north, kind of hanging around Indianapolis out towards Columbus, Ohio. So the higher storm chances are to our north today and tomorrow. As we get towards Sunday, that front tries to drift further into southern Indiana, and that's why the storm chances to close out the weekend are a smidge higher. Until then, it's hot and it's humid. 95 our forecast high. Heat advisory continues until 8 o'clock tonight, and you notice it stays hot and humid despite those higher storm chances by Sunday. Heat index values on either side of 105. I think by Monday and Tuesday we could have highs in the upper 90s, and that heat index could get closer to 110. You notice on Futurecast for today, just a few of those spotty downpours, that's all. We'll do that again on Saturday as the higher storm chances stay north, but by Sunday you notice those storm chances will be a little bit closer to us, especially along I-64 and in southern Indiana. The further south you go on Sunday, the more likely you'll stay dry. 10-day earliest alert, the hottest days will be Monday and Tuesday, highs in the upper 90s by then, but relief is in sight with a nice cool down to the 80s as we head towards next weekend.
That sounds fabulous. Thank you, Carson. The first heat-related death of the 2025 season has been confirmed in Texas. The Dallas County health officials say a man in his 60s with unknown pre-existing medical conditions died. Officials urge people to prioritize heat safety and protect themselves as high temperatures continue in North Texas and across the country. Here at Wave Country, the recent summer heat, not only uncomfortable for drivers, but it's also tough on our cars.
AAA experts say extreme temperatures can damage your car's batteries, fade paint, crack interiors, and affect tires and airbags too. When a car is parked in direct sunlight, the interior temperature can reach 200 degrees. The heat also puts extra wear on your engine, hoses, and belts, and that can get expensive to fix.
People think, oh, it's just, high temperatures, it's hot when I get into my car, but actually understanding that these other things can happen due to the heat is important. It has a major impact on the value of your car if the sun is causing some of this damage. And it can also cost you for the cost of repairs down the road.
AAA recommends parking in the shade or use a sunshade if you can't find the right spot. Also, keep your interior clean and wash and wax your vehicle regularly, and check out that tire pressure too, because that can avoid blowouts. My car yesterday said it was 101 because it had been sitting out for a little bit.
And it takes so long for that cold air and the AC to actually get cold too, so it takes a minute for you to really adjust to it. That's rough.
Well, if you use Riverlink, you have to pay to use it.
A deep dive into how exactly the state collects these tolls and how good they are at it. That's coming up after the break. An officer in Kentucky State Human Trafficking Task Force says sex trafficking is rising nationwide. Detective Ricky Lynn says the Commonwealth is now among the top U.S. states recording the crime. Lynn says last year, the state's Cabinet for Health and Family Services reported 500 children were trafficked. He also says state data shows how many people are sold online every day on websites not even listed on the dark web.
From there, about 9,000 commercial sex ads for people for sale are in the state of Kentucky, about 9,000 a day.
Secretary of State Michael Adams hopes a new program called Kentucky Businesses Against Trafficking will help save more trafficking victims. It helps train workers on how to spot the signs of human trafficking and then report what they see to police.
You might have to use a detour if you're going through downtown Louisville this weekend because parts of Hospital Curve are being shut down to repair expansion joints and potholes. I-65 southbound will be closed about a mile south of the Kennedy Bridge, so drivers crossing over from Indiana will have to take I-64 or I-71. The closures will start at 8 o'clock tonight, goes through 5 a.m. Monday, and after that, one lane will open up as work continues through Wednesday evening.
Riverlink will be billing drivers for the next 30 years to pay off the toll bridges, so the Wave News troubleshooters wanted to know just how good it is at collecting tolls. The state agency behind Riverlink says it only collects tolls on roughly 95% of crossings. That means for about 131,000 crossings each month, it's unable to collect money. One big customer evading tolls are Ford convoys. Contractor convoys of new vehicles can be seen regularly crossing the East End Bridge. New trucks are stored temporarily at the Jeff Boat property in Jeffersonville before being shuttled back to Kentucky. The state says it can't collect tolls from vehicles because they don't have license plates. Riverlink told us they have no agreement with Ford. Ford said Riverlink has not notified them of any irregularities. It's impossible to calculate just how many unpaid tolls these Ford contractors rack up, though, but using the 131,000 tolls a month Riverlink says it can't collect, we multiply those by the lowest toll rate for 12 months. That means Riverlink could lose at least $4.2 million per year, and that's money meant to pay for these bridges. The state said cars driving over the toll bridges is an issue for law enforcement to deal with.
All right, it's now just about 7:24 on this Friday.
We'll have plenty more news and weather coming up. Stick with us as we take a beautiful look at that sunrise.
This Wave News Update is sponsored by Oxmoor Auto Group.
Hi there, I'm Shannon Kogan. Breaking this morning, LMPD says 2 men are recovering after they were shot overnight. It happened around 1 a.m. on Prentice Street near California Park. Police say both men were grazed by a bullet. They were taken to the hospital and are expected to survive, and police say no arrests have been made in this case. Here's Carson right now, and boy, we're in that heat wave still.
We are indeed. It's going to be sticking around for at least another 6 days. That's the live view this morning of Bardstown. At least it's a nice looking start to your Friday, even if it is on the rather warm side. We're still at 79 here in Louisville. Elsewhere, we're in the low 70s, 73 in fact in Bardstown. Same story goes for Shelbyville, LaGrange, and Madison. 76 in North Vernon and Seymour. Salem still holding on to 77. Another heat advisory is in place today for all of Wave Country except Adair County. That's where the heat index numbers will be a little bit lower, closer to 100, 102. Everybody else, however, will see that heat index get closer to 105 later on this afternoon. Those actual high temperatures today topping out around 95, and we'll do it all over again for both Saturday and Sunday. Quick look at the roads on this Friday morning. Most of the metro's in good shape, but we'll turn our attention to northeastern Jefferson County. I-71 northbound has a major backup as you're moving out of Louisville and heading towards Oldham County. You can see on the Trimark view that they are doing some paving operations on 71 northbound near the Jefferson-Oldham County line. 2 lanes are blocked. You can only get through the right lane as you're heading up 71 into Oldham County, so expect delays. You can see on the traffic map, traffic's backed up all the way to the Snyder as a result of that construction. Elsewhere, we're in good shape. Those speeds moving along just fine. Buckle up and stay safe.
Hey, thanks so much for sticking with us here on Wave Sunrise Extra. I'm Olivia Russell, and yesterday as we were signing off, I told you about this big announcement that we would be making at 8:30 yesterday morning, and that announcement was that Churchill Downs and NBC have decided to move the 152nd running of the Kentucky Oaks to prime time. So that broadcast will air from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., and the post time for the Oaks will likely run closer to 9 o'clock. That's, of course, later than we're used to seeing. So Wave News reporter David Mattingly takes a look at the numbers behind the move.
And they're off in the Kentucky Oaks. By the time horses left the gate in the 2025 Kentucky Oaks, Churchill Downs was already a winner. Fans bet $74.9 million on all races that day, a new record. But the Oaks race itself fell about $2 million short of a record set in 2022. Churchill Downs is betting a move to prime time will likely change that.
Last year on the USA Network, we averaged about 300,000 in terms of average viewership. The projection for the first year is an additional 1 million viewers.
The primetime announcement quoted Churchill Downs Incorporated President Bill Carstanjen saying, "The decision is rooted in our commitment to growing the sport, reaching new audiences, and creating unforgettable experiences for our fans." In 2025, the more fans watching, the more people were betting. Wagering on Derby Week set a record of $473.9 million. In a Tuesday morning earnings call, Carstanjen spoke to investors about a record quarter and a profitable future.
Our partnerships with FanDuel and DraftKings also set new Derby Week wagering records. We intend to continue building on these positive trends.
Wall Street had an immediate positive response to the announcement of the earnings and the Oaks move to prime time, but it didn't last long. CDI stock price jumped to $118 a share before quickly falling and ending the day losing ground at $113 a share.
And last year, NBC signed a contract extension carrying the Oaks and Derby for the next 7 years. But not everyone happy about this announcement. Jack Fry shared a statement on Facebook saying in part that with the later post time, they expect many guests delaying or skipping their reservations altogether. The Post goes on to argue the economic ripple effect is undeniable, especially as we've already seen significant changes in the past few years. Now, with that quote, they said a more captive audience at Churchill Downs, where ticket holders are provided with food and beverage inclusivity. Restaurants have a, quote, even smaller piece of the pie. The business closes by saying the adjustments are impacting not just Jack Fry's, but the entire restaurant community. But some gala organizers tell us that they are worried about that, and they're going to have to adjust their start times because of this. What was once a 9 p.m. start time could become midnight. Now, that could also affect some restaurants, and restaurant owners say it could give them a chance to seat people even earlier who don't normally go to the track anyways. But other restaurant owners say there's a major concern that people will be too tired and will be leaving the track too late to go out to dinner on Friday night.
The impact is real. We've still yet to identify how significant this will look on people's bottom line, but we are aware of it. We want to get ahead of it.
And Churchill Downs says they've been reaching out to nonprofit partners, fundraisers, galas, and the Restaurant Association to start collaborating on creative solutions so they can continue to be successful. But we wanted to know how you all think about this, and we took a poll on our WAVE website, and the majority of responses not in favor of the change. So the question just flat out asks, what do you think of the decision to move the Kentucky Oaks to prime time? 65% people saying not a fan, 15% say they're unsure, but only about 19% think that this is a great move. But there is only one way to find out, and we will find out come May 1st of next year. Now, an off-duty Anchorage Middletown fire and EMS worker is right now in the spotlight. It came after he saved someone's life while having a day off at the lake. Firefighter Keegan Bull was on a family vacation at Lake Cumberland when a heart attack survivor jumped into the water. The rapid shift in temperature gave the swimmer a circulatory failure, so they couldn't stay above the water. And so the Bull was able to get into the water, get the swimmer back to shore, and they have since made a full recovery. Certainly a life-saving effort right there. A Kentucky State trooper shot outside of Lexington's airport is getting the financial support he needs to recover. Trooper Jude Remillion was hurt in the shooting spree that killed 2 women and injured 2 other men at the Richmond Baptist Church earlier this month. Police shot and killed that suspect, but now the Kentucky State Police Foundation wants to help Officer Remillion and his family by selling 304 Strong t-shirts. 304 is Trooper Remillion's unit number.
They put their lives on the line every single day for us. This will help take care of the little things that Trooper Remillion and his family don't have to worry about.
You can read more about the Foundation's project to fundraise in our story on wave3.com. Governor Andy Beshear put the spotlight on 4 Kentuckians who helped step in to help Trooper Vermillion after he was shot. Jimmy and Jessica Alexander, Taylor Hall, and Adam Arnold were named this week's Kentucky All-Stars for their life-saving efforts there. Well, you can now help shape what Norton Children's new pediatric care campus will look like. This new campus will be off Tucker Station Road in Jeffersontown. It'll include surgical suites, and it will have emergency care, integrated behavioral health services, and so much more. Norton has launched a new community survey to see what the campus wants, what people want to see added to the campus, and they say that they have gathered some similar feedback for the West Louisville Hospital, and you can find a link to that over on our website, wave3.com. Veterans Club founder Jeremy Harrell is asking President Trump for a full pardon. Harrell was convicted last year of unlawfully receiving more than $100,000 in VA disability benefits. He was sentenced to 6 months in federal prison and has since been released on home incarceration. Harrell claims his prosecution was politically motivated. The Trump administration has officially signed off on a blockbuster media merger that will help reshape Hollywood and network news. The Federal Communications Commission approved Skydance Media's $8 billion takeover of Paramount Global, clearing the way for the deal to close within weeks. Skydance CEO David Ellison pledged to not introduce new DEI policies. That was a key condition for winning support from FCC Chair Brendan Carr. Carr praised the move, saying it will help restore trust in CBS and ensure more ideological diversity in programming. Well, if you are a stamp collector, you might want to listen up here because the United States Post Office will reissue one of these popular 25 stamps it has printed in the past. So the question here, which one? Here's the interesting thing. It's up to you. You can see all of the stamps available to vote for. There's Charlie Brown, Wonder Woman, Batman, and USPS will re-release whichever stamp gets the most votes. You can vote at stampsforever.com/vote as many times as you like. If you're very particular about a certain stamp, then you can check that out there. And you have until the end of September, but the results won't be announced until next year. This morning, we're learning more details about Hulk Hogan's death. And Hogan's official cause of death has not been released yet, but new 911 call audio reveals paramedics were called to his home for cardiac arrest. Hogan, whose real name is Terry Bollea, was one of the most well-known wrestlers of all time. His popularity helped propel WWE to global recognition in the 1980s. He was 71 years old. Well, you're probably paying more for those burgers on your grill. That's because beef prices are rising to record levels. The Agriculture Department says beef is selling for $9.26 per pound. That's nearly 9% price hike since January. Experts say several factors are to blame, including smaller cattle herd sizes, drought conditions, and more expensive feed. The American Farm Bureau Federation says cattle ranching in general isn't as profitable as it was previously, and some ranchers have since given up. The CEO of Tyson Foods told People on a recent earnings call that these have been the most challenging market conditions ever for the beef industry, so that could really affect anyone having a cookout this weekend. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. LMPD hosted a Cuts and Convos event last night where community members were able to have candid conversations with LMPD officers. Wave News reporter Julia Richardson spent some time at last night's meeting, and she learned the first steps in a longer program that the department wants to build.
The goal is to give and gain perspective so that we both can leave here with something.
This was the scene Thursday night inside Boys to Men Barbershop with both community members.
What can we get out of these every month? We talk. And for the ones that come here, can we devise a plan?
And police officers, including LMPD Chief Paul Humphrey, chiming in.
This is about listening to what you think we need to do, what the problems are you having in your community, and how we can work together to solve those.
One of the problems attendees brought up, a lack of trust in the police department.
If we don't establish a level of trust, we're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to get anywhere. And it starts with these conversations.
Community members I talked with say they're happy with how Thursday's conversation went, but want to focus on urging more community members to join in for future ones.
This is a good step, doing it here at the barbershop. But I think reaching out to other leaders, business leaders, educational leaders, and saying, hey, can you bring people in so we can have these conversations? Because right now, the right people aren't in the room.
Everybody in this room does want change. It's the people that don't even know if they want change or don't want change that we need to get into the room so that we can create change.
And that's not the only opportunity you have to speak with LMPD officers. These conversations with LMPD will happen monthly. The next one will be on August 25th. Kentucky's LIHEAP Summer Subsidy Program will start accepting applications today. LIHEAP helps families pay their electric bills. Households have to meet income eligibility requirements, though, so to apply, you can reach out to your local Community Action Agency office or call 800-456-3452. Aid will be given out on a first-come, first-served basis through September 12th. And summer might be in full swing right now. School just a couple of weeks away, and many Americans are already back to school shopping. A new survey shows 2/3 of Americans with school-aged children started shopping for the upcoming school year this month, and that's the earliest on record. The survey found half of families are hitting the stores early this year due to their concern that tariffs could drive the prices of school supplies even higher. Tariffs on most U.S. trading partners are set to rise in August. Americans are also cutting back on spending. Shoppers are expected to spend about 2% less per family on clothes, school supplies, and electronics this year. And speaking of school supplies, if you're doing some shopping this weekend, make sure to remember other kids are ready to go back to school too. So Wave News, the Neighborhood Place, and Furniture Fair are teaming up to collect donations ahead of this new school year, and they'll be given out to local students. You can drop off supplies at either Furniture Fair location now through July 30th, and those donations will give local kids a great start to the new school year. But as we are getting closer to going back to school, Wave Country is coming together to make sure that all those kids have the supplies they need, and JCPS holding their back to school blitz. Families in need of school uniforms can shop for them at the JCPS Clothing Assistance Program on West Jefferson Street. You can browse the warehouse of new uniform pants, uniform shirts, underwear, socks, belts, hoodies, jackets, shoes, just about everything they need to go back to school. The event is designed for students who attend schools with uniform requirements, but all students with appointments are welcome, and you do need to make an appointment. That back to school blitz lasts through August 2nd. Well, some exciting news coming out of South America for Racing Louisville. Racing Louisville bringing home a trophy after competing in the Women's Cup in Brazil. The ladies in lavender beat Brazilian club Palmeiras in the final match yesterday. Emma Sears opens the scoring for Racing. Palmeiras eventually tied up the match, and Racing had to win it in a penalty shootout, but certainly making for a great ending there.
This was incredible prep for us to get back into game form, make sure that we've got our legs underneath us and we can hit the second half of our season running. This was my first time really being able to compete for a trophy with this club. I just feel so honored and so grateful that I got to be on the field for this one and to be able to bring it home back to Louisville, Kentucky.
This marks the second time Racing has walked away winners of the Women's Cup. They won it in 2021 as well. A big congratulations to them, and I'm sure they really enjoyed that road trip. Fans who have never been to a Lou City or Racing Louisville match now have a chance to earn a free ticket. The pro soccer clubs have teamed up with Kroger to create the First Ones on Us ticket initiative. All you have to do is visit the Racing or Lou City websites, find the newcomer form, and fill it out. Then a representative will contact you to confirm your eligibility, and they'll get you your free ticket. Club leaders want the program to open access to fans who have never experienced a soccer match firsthand, and they say they want Lim Family Stadium to feel like home to everyone, and hopefully they can fill up those stands for some big upcoming games. So very exciting stuff there and a great opportunity. I highly recommend checking it out because Lim Family Stadium is just a beautiful venue. We'll be right back after this quick 2-minute break. As we know, it seems like there is a day for just about everything, and this is something I am very excited about because today is National Wine and Cheese Day. So the pairing of wine and cheeses is actually a tradition that is centuries old. It's not just something people have done recently to have fun. For foodies, it's the enjoyment of matching flavors and textures of many cheese varieties with the just perfect selection of wine. Some of the classic pairings including Brie with Merlot and Asiago with Chianti. So many options out there. You don't have to be too picky because, hey, you can't really go wrong with wine and cheese, that's for sure. Well, your pet could have the chance to become famous by entering the Kentucky Humane Society's Pet Photo Calendar contest. Your pet could be one of the pets of the month. So to do that, you submit a picture. It'll cost you $25, and that is a donation, and it will go directly to the Humane Society. For $2, or for 2 pictures, it's only $40 though. All of that money goes to the Kentucky Humane Society and the pets that they help out. And if you win, you'll also get a free copy of the calendar when it comes out this November. To enter, just visit kyhumane.org/calendar. I have 2 cats at home. It is so hard to get them to work together and do one video or picture together. Well, here's something happening at the YMCA. The Oldham County's YMCA 10th Annual Family Mud Run is happening tomorrow. Runners get down and dirty running through 2 miles of muddy obstacles. That mud run goes from 8 a.m. until 3 in Buckner. The course is roughly 2 miles of mud and obstacles, so a lot of fun there. And you can still register the race. It'll cost you $20 or $30, and you can learn more over on the Y's website. But, you know, they say pigs roll around in mud to cool off, and maybe that's a good opportunity to cool off as well. The Fraser History Museum Summer Beer Fest is also happening tomorrow night, so you can find more than 200 different craft beers along Main Street and within the museum itself. The money raised helps support the museum's exhibits and programs, and in addition to the beer, there will be live music and food. VIP admission starts at 4 o'clock, general admission starts at 5, and it will run until 8 o'clock. So make sure with that beer, you're also drinking plenty of water because it's going to be so hot out there. Looking ahead, the Paranormal Cirque is coming to Lynn Family Stadium. The show features a unique combination of theater, circus, and cabaret with a European flair. The show will be at Lynn Family Stadium on August 15th through the 18th. Cirque Italia has strobe lights and emphasis here on a mature audience. That's because no one under the age of 13 will be allowed in, and anyone who's 13 to 17 must be with an adult. Ticket prices range from $20 to $65, and we have a link to buy tickets in the story over on wave3.com. Well, we're less than a month away from this year's Kentucky State Fair, and you can check out all things Kentucky at the Kentucky Expo Center from August 14th through the 24th. You can find details on events and tickets over on the fair's website, and we will be having Wave Day at the fair on Tuesday this year. We can't wait to meet everyone out there. It's always so fun to meet all of our viewers, take some pictures, and show off the green screen that we use for our weather team, and we also have the storm tracker there. So it's always a blast. Make sure you all come out and say hey. And if you missed Wave News reporter Marissa Burke this morning on Sunrise, the Big Stomp Music Festival is coming to Waterfront Park this weekend. You'll be able to hear live music and join mental health wellness programming. Headliners for this year's festival include Murder by Death and The Record Company. So some of the activities include yoga and immersive therapies. They even have goat yoga, which Marissa was doing earlier. So kind of throwing a fun twist on it there, and the goats are so cute. So gates open at 5 p.m. today and 1 p.m. on Saturday. Good excuse to get outside. That's all the time we have here for Wave Sunrise Extra. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.